Why do women gain weight after 40? Welcome to my channel. I'm Corey Matthews. I am a health coach specializing in hormone balance to help women lose weight and keep it off. So many of my clients that reach out are over 40 and they are trying to figure out why is it that once we hit that magical number, we all of a sudden start gaining weight. So let's talk about a couple things that happen as we get older with women and why it changes things. Are you feeling like everything you did when you're 20s and 30s no longer works, and it's literally like you woke up overnight and all of a sudden you have this muffin top and you're not really sure why or where it came from? So I always tell women that any sudden weight gain or any weight gain as we get older, it's due to hormones. So not necessarily the hormones that you're thinking. I know immediately women think when they're in their 40s that they are all of a sudden, it's because that their sex hormones, like I like to call them, their estrogen and progesterone, are changing. Yes, those are changing. Those start changing as early as 35. I like to tell women it's not a menopausal cliff that we fall off when we're 50. All those hormonal changes start even earlier. Things change as early as 35. Think about it based on where your age is, just when those changes started happening. So why at 40 does it feel like nothing you do makes any difference? So there's a couple of changes going on. Yes, that estrogen is changing. It is making differences in actually your muscle, your bone, everything about your body. Your progesterone, which makes you feel happy, is changing as well. But what most people don't think about is the correlation when they turn 40 with their metabolism hormones. So metabolism hormones that I'm talking about are your insulin, your thyroid, your cortisol. All of those hormones are there, and all of those hormones can be affected by the sex hormones changing. So what we work with clients is we've found that when you focus on the metabolism hormones, again, the cortisol, the insulin, and thyroid, and changing those hormones, then you can stop that weight gain and actually reverse it. So I know what you're thinking. You've been to your doctor and your doctor said that everything is normal. Those hormones are normal and, there's really no big change in them. That's the key here. This normal range is really, really big for everybody. So just because somebody has told you that your hormones are normal doesn't mean we can't make a change in them. So this is why we find that women over 40 are starting to gain weight, because your hormones have changed. So when you were younger and your estrogen and your progesterone were doing everything that they needed to do, your insulin was working right along with it. So your insulin was navigating ups and downs. You could eat the carbohydrates and then your body burned them off and your metabolism was on fire and you had no problems with it. But when we hit 40, all of that starts to change. So the way insulin processes our carbohydrates, just because you're in the normal range doesn't mean that it makes a difference. So I want to give you 3 specific tips that you can do that can help with that weight gain and reverse it back. Okay? So one thing that I've just talked about a couple times is your insulin. Your insulin is directly tied to the amount of carbohydrates and specifically the amount of sugar that you're having. So take a really close look at your nutrition. How much sugar are you having? That sugar is directly affecting your insulin, which is directly affecting your estrogen and your progesterone levels. So reduce your sugar. Second thing is we want to focus on making sure that your thyroid is optimal. Again, been to the doctor has said your thyroid is normal. I don't care if your thyroid is normal. If you are experiencing any of the things with weight gain, a muffin top, flabby thighs, arms that jiggle, any of it, it's because of the fact that those hormones have changed. So in order to optimize the thyroid, what I have my clients do is we drop the grains. So yes, not just gluten-free, but we look at all of the grains. So I want you to focus on carbohydrates like lentils and beans and quinoa. Go for those really, really good carbohydrates. Notice I didn't say don't eat carbohydrates. I said focus on those really good carbohydrates. So there are 2. Now, the other one that I really want you to focus on is lift weights. Lifting weights is going to help you increase your muscle mass. The more muscle you have on your body, the more it's going to burn body fat and it's going to stay lean for you. That is going to help with those hormones. So if we've got good muscle, that helps with functioning everything. Our metabolism is going to be higher. We have a higher calorie burn. So when we hit our 40s and we all of a sudden start gaining weight, a lot of times we just don't feel good. So we don't want to work out or we don't want to do any of the lifting. Most of us stick with cardio. The problem here is if you do cardio by itself, it can elevate cortisol. And if cortisol is elevated, that causes problems with thyroid and you gain weight in your midsection. Do you see where I'm going with all this? It all adds up together. So truly, if you want to prevent weight gain, because we all see it when we hit 40, if we don't take an active approach to it, what I want you to focus on is your metabolism hormones. If the metabolism hormones are in optimal ranges, they aren't going to feel like this, okay? So I want you to focus on that. If you have hit 40 and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining all this weight, you aren't doing anything wrong based on everything that you knew before. It's just that the hormones have changed, and therefore the process for you to lose weight, get in shape, and make changes, that has to change. If you're curious about learning more about what I do, you can look below. We've got recipes, we've got blog posts, we've got all kinds of information. You can even work with us one-on-one in our hormone solution to help you figure out how to really navigate those hormones and how we go through our 40s, our 50s, and 60s, and how we live a thriving life. So there's some tips as to why your body is gaining weight after you turn 40.